Okay, we'll get started on page 655 on the guided practice. And on this, once again, we are looking at the length, okay? So we have to know a millimeter, and remember a millimeter is a very small amount. When we have the ruler, it's that turn a dime sideways, and that's how small it is. Then we had a centimeter, which was the width of our pinky. A decameter, which is kind of new, that would be the width of your hand, from here to here on your hand. So 10 centimeters is about a decameter. And then we had a meter, which we said, and go back to the notes if you don't remember, the length of the ceiling tile. Okay, and a kilometer, that's your longest distance. That's going to be from here to the Quail Creek Church. So that's like a drive. You'd like to drive there. Okay, so now we're going to use things to see what we would use to measure the height of a house. Well, we know we wouldn't have to drive up a house. That's way too far. Meters would be the length of those ceiling tiles. And I definitely don't want to put my hands up like this to measure all the way up the height of the house, so maybe a meter. And remember, when we get exactly, when we're not sure and it's exactly that same size, that we go down a size in our units. The length of a cat, okay? So a cat, I know, is not going to be from here to Quail Creek Church. It's not going to be a ceiling tile, but it could be, I could use my hand to go across. So I might say a decameter, and I also may say a centimeter. Centimeters could maybe be your fingers. They'd be a little bit small, but you might be able to get away with doing that. Definitely not a millimeter. The width of a sunflower seed. Now, a sunflower seed, when you crack them open, they're really, really small. You might even say they're as long as a centimeter, which is the width of your pinky finger, but that's going to be really, really close. And so if it's almost the same size, we always say go down a unit. So there we would go to millimeters. Distance traveled by a plane. A plane is a far away place. So we would use the largest units we have possible. And this is length in the metric system because all of them end with meter. Then up here, which is better unit for measure the width of a textbook, centimeters or meters? Well, think about a meter, that long ceiling tile up above, okay? If I even, and I'm in the classroom, so I'm going to pull this up above here. That is way big for the width of a textbook. So we probably are going to be using centimeters. Joni wants to measure the width of a narrow ribbon. Okay, so we talk about ribbon like hair ribbon, okay? She is using the tie around a pine cone. Which metric unit should she use? She wants to measure the width. Depends on the little ribbon, but ribbon comes in strips that kind of look like this, and we're talking about how far it is from here to here, the sides. Not how long the ribbon is, but the width from side to side. So when we're thinking about that, we could use millimeters, possibly maybe centimeters, depending, but it's pretty close, so I would more likely favor millimeters unless I'm talking a thicker kind of a ribbon. And they probably, well, it says a narrow ribbon, so definitely I would then say millimeters, because you would have to definitely know what kind of size that is. So on 7 through 9, you're going to be doing the same, and then on 7, 8, and 9, and then on 10 and 11, estimate the length. Okay, when it says to estimate, you use those benchmarks. So you're going to use centimeters, you're going to use the width of your finger, or a decameter. Remember I said that was the width of your hand. Here is the length of a pine cone shows the actual size. Is it closer to 5 decameters or 5 centimeters? Once again, this is an actual size. Use those benchmarks. Use that pinky finger to see if it's that many centimeters, or use the width of your hand for decameters to see if it's that many, and what would it be closer to. Then on the page after that, this is weight, but it's dealing with mass. It looks like It's dealing with grams and kilograms. We're dealing with mass here. And so that mass is how much space an object takes up. So let's go straight into, they give you an example up here and you can read that, but let's go straight into the guided practice. In 1 and 2, choose a more appropriate unit of measurement of mass of each item, write gram or kilogram. Now remember, a gram was a paperclip and a kilogram was a textbook. So if you're thinking about a small little gerbil that's pretty small, I would say in grams, because I bet you they don't even weigh a pound, most of them, or a little hamster. So I'd put a gram. But a gorilla, I bet you it's more that he weighs more than a textbook, so I would say kilogram, and you're only using the ones that they're asking you to. Which number would be less, the mass of a grapefruit in grams or the mass of a grapefruit in kilograms? Now you have to think about this question. Which would be less? Well, the mass of a grapefruit in gram. If I knew something was in grams and it was 1 gram, in kilograms, it would be way smaller. This is a tricky question because we haven't converted yet. So I'm just going to let you know that the mass of the grapefruit in kilograms is going to be smaller because a kilogram is something very big and I'm comparing it to something very small, which is going to make that kilogram be smaller. Okay? Why is a pan balance a good tool to use to measure mass? Okay, so we talk about this, about a pan measure, and we do this in science. And why is it a good tool to measure mass? Because mass is the amount of space that something takes up, and that's what it measures in there. It's how much space that you have inside of you. So it's the amount it measures, the amount of space an object